Hello and welcome to another episode of KP Talks. I'm here with a lot of info, and I'm sorry for not uploading anytime recently. It looks like I haven't uploaded since around October. That's when Nationals was. I didn't have an upload for December and Worlds and all of that. There's some reasons. I'll go over that here in a second. But I'm here to bring you about what's going on in my life, what's been happening, uh, what I decided on with Worlds, and what I've been playing this year with the first start of the Materia Cups this year. So the reason I haven't been making videos recently is, and to keep it short, I've not been going through a very great time. I've actually, right after I won Nationals, I got laid off from my job. Um, and I've been looking for another one, and I still technically, I'm working at a card shop at the moment, but I haven't been able to find another job that fits my role. I'm a data analyst and I'm a report writer. I love working with numbers. I think a lot of my friends already know I like numbers, but I feel like a lot of that kind of stuff is kind of becoming automated now with all this AI stuff happening, and kind of debating what I want to do with my career from this point. Uh, if I want to like keep continuing what I'm doing, or if I need to learn, a new tool and go from there. But yeah, so I'm kind of just like floating, and thankfully a friend of mine is letting me work at their place at the moment, so I'm able to still do what I love and travel and play card games. Yeah, but yeah, I've been going through a rough time with that. I was originally planning a vlog at Worlds, and even had like, oh, this is what I'm thinking about playing, and leading up to it and things like that. But honestly, it kind of just failed because I didn't really have the mental for it. It was really hard to focus on Worlds. It was it was a trip with friends and my lady, and I also just I wasn't as enthusiastic about the game at that time because I was prioritizing, feeling good and having a good trip and getting my mind off of negativity. And I'm not saying the cards were negativity. That's not it. It's just whenever I'm playing Final Fantasy, I feel like I'm pretty hyper focused and locked in. And I think a lot of people actually somebody commented on that this weekend. It's like I'm a different person when I'm playing the game, but like, because I'm hyper focused. But I don't feel like I could really do that, a couple months after getting laid off, So um that also probably is why I didn't do so hot at Worlds this year. I went 2-6. So, but I do like the idea of a vlog still. But I also don't know how many more events I'm going to go to this year. Um, Maybe I'll do something like that for nationals. I'm definitely going to go to nationals this year. Or maybe I'll do something like that for worlds this year. Not sure, but let me hear your thoughts if that's something you'd be interested in. Because my approach would be something like a day to day. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm currently playing, or even just parts of the trip of what I'm enjoying, the food, the friends, things like that. But yeah, that's what's been going on in my life. Um, I think I'm finally back to that good mental, like where I normally am. Just still searching for a job that I love and things like that. So but yeah, we still get to travel and play card games. So I guess I will pull up World Championships real quick. Um, oh, actually, What's the best way to do this? Let me see if I can find my world's decks. Sorry, one moment. For worlds, I remember playing Ice Earth with Viridian, and I believe that my other deck was possibly Wall 7, but either way, I remember going 2 and 6, and it wasn't too great. And the reason I picked Ice Earth is because I truly believe that Viridian found a pretty good deck. This was like the start of the Kefka stuff, and I thought it was very good, but because a lot of time, like, this is back with Refia and Warrior Light, right? And Realm, and people would like turn 1 Lunafreya or turn 2 Lunafreya or whatever for consistency reasons, and that was a good time to, same thing with turn 2 Realm kind of a thing, right? That was a good time to Kefka. You could pay 8 for Kefka and it'd be fine, and then you'd return back the 5 CP Rydia backup or Cindy. And it could be anything, but those are the two big ones, and those would draw you 2 cards. So not only would you have a forward and a backup and draw 2 cards, but you'd get rid of their forward. So it was just insane value, and the concept was really nice. But the issue I had was it always felt just exactly 1 turn behind. So I ended up not doing so well. Also, I know Viridian was 5 and 3, so he did a little bit better. 1 went off of top cut or chance for top cut. So, I don't really have any regrets for what I played for that tournament. I thought it was. I also think that his Ice Earth deck is like extremely fun. Uh, but it is not completely my style, so I probably didn't play it very well. But I don't have any regrets. I played what I believed in, and I believed in that deck. So, and the other deck I believe was a Wall 7 deck, and actually, if I don't know if I for sure have it here. I will just. The only thing I have is. Okay. Usually when I go to tournaments, this is like how I save my decks. So I am guessing these are the 2 decks I played, but there's a chance that they're wrong. So, but this one's probably right. This is very close to what I played. I know the big difference between me and Viridian's deck is he had Ahriman, and that was a very big upgrade. I like that a lot. But yeah, this deck was sweet. And then the other deck I played, I think, was this one, but I'm not 100%. But I think it was here. Because I remember I had Surges for this deck and not for Ice Earth. And that was a big deal because Viridian played Mono Fire alongside Ice Earth. And so that made this deck have Surges, and that matters. So, but yeah, this was kind of, if you notice, I have a Firion here. This was the start of what I thought about putting Firion in this deck, because for longest time, a lot of Wall players probably have thought this. Wall 7 players, they just want another haster, and it's not like a bajillion more hasters. It's literally just one. Some people play Y'shtola, but like a reliable haster. So being able to Tyvus and Firion is great. Being able to cast Firion off your backups is great. But there hasn't really been a for sure this is the right option. And I think I kind of landed on that this weekend. So I'm going to move on from the world stuff. But this just, what I've missed here is covering my tracks. These decks are pretty sweet, but obviously you can't play them to full capacity anymore. Tyro's gone. Um, okay, back to the tournaments. Going to actually let's go to Raleigh real quick because there was something I wanted to point out. So actually let's go from straight from Twitter. Um, the history of how I've changed my deck to what it is today. Um, I am very good friends with Hide. He's uh, a friend of mine from Japan. His Twitter handle is Higher Fire. Here you go. And it all started with this deck. And he's written about it too. He has a blog and all that. So I recommend checking it out. But we chat all the time. He mentioned he probably can't go to very many events this year, so he will most likely always be playing Wall 7. And that kind of piqued my interest because he likes Wall 7, I like Wall 7, but also um, I know it feels like he likes to it's not, I wouldn't say greed, but I would say he likes to do powerful things. And it kind of shows with this picture. So this is the original deck, and he said he went 4-2 with it, but barely missed top cut. But to me, 4-2, that's still a really good record because that is top cut record sometimes, right? So it's worth looking over. Um, and a lot of these uh a lot of what I have a high bar for what I want to do with Wall 7. I'll get through that also, but a lot of what Hide was doing still met that criteria and had more power. So that is what actually piqued my interest. So I like, let's see, we'll just start with how many. I'll do my bar here. I like 32 hits off of Wall 7, whatever it is. 32 hits, uh, at least 15 ice cards, and I like 16 water cards. And I know I'm the outlier on that. I did a lot of research. I looked at a lot of the best North American players that have been playing Wall 7 recently, and actually, I feel like a lot of people play 12 to like 14 water cards. So I know I'm the outlier, and it's because I highly value the turn one Defervel or Arya or Larsa or whatever it is. And I feel like the deck is a lot different if you just don't have that, right? And I think we've all felt having Sarah or Arya and not the water card, and that feels terrible. So I'm I know I'm the outlier on that, but I also know that water cards most of the time you only won on turn one, maybe turn two with like Leo or whatever. Like if we cut, like there's no Firion in here, right? Oh, there is, but imagine we don't have a Firion. Um, and any old wall builds, it's just like the old Lina, right? So there isn't very many, and Leo and limit breaks and whatever. There isn't very many water cards you really care about casting until now. So, anyway, so I like 32 threes, and we can count real quick. So I'm going to count the non threes to make it easier. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that's correct. 32 exactly. Um, let's see, the water count is 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15, so just barely off. I'm gonna double check that real quick. 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15. Okay. And I kind of was lax on, if people play whatever they want to play, whatever's comfortable to them, right? Um, and I know what's comfortable to me, so I am gonna do what I can to get to 16 water cards in this case. And then ice, I'm curious about ice. So something that came up a lot with testing, actually with my friends, um, but not for me, but I still took the advice, was like ice count. And because there were games where there weren't always an ice backup in play, and or maybe something would happen to it, and then it's like, okay, well then you have to cast your ice cards. So they'd always want more ice cards. I was like, that's, I can't believe that is true because I've never had an issue with that, and I've played a lot of games. But when three or four of my friends are testing out my deck and saying the same thing, I think that's really important advice. And there's a pattern there, right? So I took that to heart. So let's see how many are in here. 5, 8, 11, 14, 15, 16. So this deck meets my ice requirement as well. So um double check. 5, 8, 11, 14, 16. Yep. Okay. So, and then I know everyone has opinions on like lightning, wind, or earth cards. I don't really care about any of that. It's nice to have, my take is it's nice to have some duels because you aren't going to always have Gilgamesh on 7 colors. You're mostly going to have it on 3 or like 4, not even 5. So having just a few extra duels goes a long way. Um, and especially if it's not at a big cost to add them. So yeah, this is the origin point of it, and then I messaged Hide, and we talked about it a bunch, and I sent the, this is his next iteration of the deck, and it was very close to what I was about to play for Raleigh. Looking, give me one moment. Okay. So this is my, I took this picture right before Raleigh. This is not what I ended up playing, but it's very close. So we have Zidane's in here. So just for reference on 2 drops, and I know that some people were just like there aren't very many other good 2 drops because you can't cast them. That's just not true. I think that the biggest mindset for decks like this are, is it worth not being able to be cast um for the power level? Like, I mean, is Wall 4 a bad card because you can't cast it? No, it's not, right? It serves a purpose. So as long as all of your cards serve a purpose, that's what matters. And especially the cards that you can't cast, they need to serve a major purpose. Um, and everyone's opinion on that's different, and that's fine. But that is my approach on this deck. So, and a lot of decks too, but this one specifically because a lot of cards you can't cast. Like think about Zeromus, right? You can only cast Zeromus if you have another lightning card in your hand. You can't cast it with your backups. And actually, after Raleigh, I thought about cutting Zeromus. So, like I tested 3 or 4 days without Zeromus, and it eventually made it back in the deck, but it was basically just because of the elements. It wasn't as good as it's been in the past. It still kind of isn't. It's good in the Wall 7 mirrors, which will probably pop up a lot more now, but I wasn't facing that. My bracket at Raleigh was all like Mist Dragon decks. Uh so Zeromus isn't like super crazy as it used to be, and you got to take notice of that. And the way I also approach things is I take notes in my phone whenever, like for testing and all this, or locals or whatever. Um, what cards performed a lot? What cards were underperforming? Uh, Even if I cheesed games, how did that happen? Um, How many times did my opponent have one card in their hand because I'm their princess? How many times do they have two cards? Because sometimes I wanted another card that discarded. A lot of times you got to know what you want, and then you can try out cards, figure out what card fits your wants and your needs. And a lot of that actually came from two costs. Um, Zidane ended up not making the cut. Uh, I thought an extra haster, the wind, um, and then even like wall seven mirror matches or against Earth decks, because you're not always gonna have five characters for Firion. I know that sounds crazy, but you're also not. Firion's not always gonna be able to attack. So having Zidane, also like Ama checking. You can like bait a lot of things with Lena, with Crystal Lena. I'll get more onto Crystal Lena in a second. This card is my favorite card right now. But you can like Ama check if you're scared of it, or even Miss Dragon by like Lenaing anything. Um, but you get the payoff and all the information if you do Zidane. So, and I know there's like yeah, you can also Axstar and Zidane. That's cool. Um, I basically never did that. I did cast Zidane off of discarding wall because if this deck specifically, you don't always have a wall seven in play. A lot of times it dies. A lot of times you choose for it to die because you can top deck a Gilgamesh later. So that means your four color walls are basically dead draws. So having something to do with them is really relevant, and also like something that's actually very relevant to him is being able to discard them to pump Firion twice, like the fire and the water side. Furion's just so good in this deck because of that. So and other reasons, of course. But yeah, this was what I sent. That's not what I ended up on. And this is where Hide Hide ended up on. That's why the Zidanes are there. We talked after our tournaments, and we mentioned what we thought was good, what we thought was not so great. Um, and for me, what stuck out was Ward. Ward wasn't removing anything. There were no Witch of the Fins. It was only okay against like a warrior esque mirror or a wall seven mirror. But even then, it still wasn't what I wanted to do. If I'm Tyvusing, I almost never want to get Ward. Um, and that kind of was eye opening to me. I'm like, this is just like a do nothing. There was also twice in Raleigh that I warrior or wall seven into Cyan and Ward, and that's not good. That's like two vanillas, so wasn't too happy about that. Um, I will go to the Raleigh deck real quick. So this is what I ended up on, and the big difference is I put a Mog in. I don't like Mog. So the general basis of Hide Hide's deck is you want to play cards that gain you value. Oh, cat jumped on the table. One moment. Okay. Um, you want to generate, or you want to play cards that generate you value, but you also don't want to lose your forwards. With Mog, it's good, but it's not great. You do you Another question is, do you want to flip into your Mog, into your with your wall seven? No, you don't. Not really. And I am not a believer in early game Mog. It Yes, you can stop them from searching with Claris or Epitaph or whatever, but doing that loses you a forward. You know what I'd rather do? I'd rather freeze a backup, because while they still keep it, usually that costs them more cards in their hand, and you also keep your forward. So like Mog will cost them more cards in their hand, but you lost your forward. Um, and I'm over here talking about like cutting Zeromus, about freezing backups and stuff. That's how big of a difference. Like I don't think Zeromus. I think it's good now, hindsight, with because more Wall 7 decks are going to appear. But I was thinking Zeromus wasn't good enough, and if Zeromus isn't good enough, then Mog is most likely not good enough either. But even with the drawing a card, but I wanted exactly one for one reason, and it was late game against the Earth. If you There are multiple times where you can't kill Earth before they get to four backups, and if they get to four, you'll do what you can to freeze their backup so they can't go Leo Warrior Light, right? Well, what do you do when you can't freeze their backups? Well, my original instinct was like Zidane, Firewind Zidane, right? But I think that was not the right approach. Um, what the right approach is Mog. Playing some worthless three cost cards with like Leo and whatever, or Undead Princess, like taxing them, whatever you want to do, but also throwing out Mog. Maybe you've chipped in some damage already. Maybe you've done 2 or 3 damage to them, and then you play a Mog, and they can't do Emmet Engus turns, um, and that's kind of a big deal. You're not foolproof by any means. It does like stall them for a turn from that, but they have a lot of options, right? Like they could go fifth backup Genova, or they could go Frisch and kill your stuff, or like there's just a bunch of options still. That they will make you sack your Mog somehow. Um, but then that's where Crystal Luna comes in, because 2 turns of Mog is most likely still 2 turns of you attacking. So you double time walk them and hopefully win within those 2 turns. If they misdragon you, great. Like if they're misdragoning your Mog, okay, that means they're not misdragoning something else. But also that means they probably it's not 100%, but they are less likely to have like everything Leo, Warrior Light, yada yada. So um, also notice there's no summons. So that's another thing that me and Hida talked about was like you don't want to. It's better to uh, let things happen and do them again than to counter them. And I think that is a very interesting approach. So that's why there's no Ama, right? Um, and that's also why his original build had no Ama, no summons, none of that too. It was better to like I play all my cards, my opponent board wipes me. I play all my cards, my opponent board wipes me. Because we can be the aggressor against those decks and they can't have infinite board wipes. So especially if they, Matoya was a big, I guess we can say innovation, um, of Sam Tool's Earth deck. I feel like not every Earth deck played Matoya, and that's partially why I lost to him in top four at Raleigh, is because he had that extra backup that was a board clear, and people were playing Heck 5 instead. And while that is cheaper than Matoya, Matoya still develops a board for him, and that was the problem. Um, but generally speaking, I think it's better to be proactive than reactive. I've probably said that a million times on this channel, but it's even more so with Crystal Luna and how things. Basically, I would say what I am doing with this deck is better than what their answers are to this deck currently. So, the exception is Chaos Arc. That's always a bad matchup. It's not unwinnable, but it's real bad. So, I'll get into that later as well. So, yeah, this is what I landed on Raleigh. Same thing. Uh, Ward is not great. Istola was exactly fine. Gentoto was exactly fine. Cards that were like insanely good were Axis. I was like, man, I really want to play through Axis, but because I can't cast this card, I don't know. It's just really good to flip into against all these Earth decks. Um, it's on Undead Princess, which is why I was on 3 for a little bit, because I think you really want this card, but you don't really want to flip into it, if that makes sense. And you really want it because of Refio. Um, Yeah. I don't like Onion Knight, but it's there because of water count and because you can search for it for art with Arya and Sarah if you need the cloud early. I am finding that less likely of a problem because knights are kind of gone now, but there are still some things that you need to do that for, like Witch of the Fens. That's another bad matchup is a monster deck. So, and then we landed on where I'm at right now. Let me see. And me and Sam Tool, he stayed at my place this weekend. We talked about decks. We're like, are we running it back? He's like, yeah. And he changed one card in his deck. He actually took the card from Lopez's deck, the idea, which was Balo. Um, and I've been pretty impressed with this card. I think Earth has some flexibility in their backups now, but more recursion is always pretty good. So, also it's a breakable backup, and that matters. um, I think the one thing we all were talking about, the Kansas City guys, was like, what's the best eighth backup or eighth limit break, like Roble or something else, because we've like almost never Robled, um, and we still haven't really decided. But I think that is maybe the only change that is worth considering is Roble to something else, maybe like a Vajrahata Wu or something. I don't know. We talked about something else too. There was another LP. Um, oh, Little Leela even. Um, Not great, but not the worst thing, right? I don't know. Um, and also going up to this tournament, I did not test Wall 7 until Friday. Um, I spent the entire 2 weeks between testing a bunch of decks. I actually played Mono Wind at the Cedar Rapids LQ here, and this deck is so much fun. This is based off of Kaka in Japan. Got second at one of their tournaments. Um, I I'm not gonna lie, I took his build and I made it worse. Um, I made the rookie mistake of changing cards before testing them. Um, I definitely think his build is a little bit better, although he had three gargoyles, and I the tournament I was in, it was really good, but I'm kind of leaning towards we don't need this card. Although it is pretty cute that you can sack it, pay one sack, scry two, and then if you see like a Fina, you can use something to draw a card, like an Alexander or a Chocobo or whatever, and draw a card, and then Fina them because it's on top of your deck. Uh, but yeah, what I did learn from this deck is all the tools are here. Like this is a real deck. Um, I would not play this at all, like this version. um, I don't think three CPs a day is worth it. It was cute. It was cool. Whatever. Um, I also am not certain I like two CPs a day either because where the meta's at right now, there isn't very many cards you want to cast out of your opponent's decks. It's like 10% of their deck, maybe 20. There isn't very many things. So I'm not too sure I'm sold on that. But all the pieces are here. You just have to worry about decking out. Two Citra is definitely right. I'm not. That was a mistake cutting one. I really want three summoners in this deck. It's really hard though. This card is just absurd. And then something of my personal opinion. I'm no win master by any means, but um, I'm starting to think that Chocobo Sam Fat Chocobo is too slow, and it's not what I want. Um, I I guess my take is I only want to do that when I'm going first, when I'm on the play. And when I'm going second, I don't think that I can afford to do that every time. It just depends on the matchup. So I'm probably going to look into alternatives for those. I don't know if they'll be just as good or not. Probably not, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'd keep Chocolate, of course. Card's insane. But yeah, Mono Wind is definitely here. I would probably go take Kaka's list first and not my list. If you were willing to try it out, it's on the Japan website um, under columns. So, okay, so I was playing Wind and Avalanche for the longest time. Let me see if I can pull up an Avalanche list. Not the right one. Okay, something close to this. Yeah, this is close enough. Okay. I was testing this with the Kansas City guys most of the week. Um, coming up to Kansas City Materia Cup, and the reasoning was if Mono Earth was a popular deck, this can beat it, and it probably will beat it. It just because it's Earth, but it goes over the top. Is it a little bit slower? Yes and no, because sometimes you like mathing it out. If you go turn one Claris, you can go to four backups. So you can go Claris for Kolka, play Kolka, search for Barrett, and then next turn you can play Barrett for Wedge, and then Wedge searches Big. You play Big. You have four backups on turn two, and a 9K. You have low cards in your hand, but like that was all off of one card, off of Claris. That's it, and that's a lot of advantage off of just one card. Because then after that, you basically just need to top deck an Emmet or an Engis, or if you already drew one, then you can LB Noctis and get it back to your hand, um, or draw an Aparuru or whatever. Like you have a lot of outs in terms of top decking after that. Um, but if you haven't seen me play this deck, I played this deck in Texas last year. I think it was, maybe it was 2 years ago. I'm not sure. I think maybe it was last year. Um, and the purpose of this deck is to try and play all your forwards in one turn and kill them. If you can't play them all, then you know you play a traditional Earth game, and then eventually you have an OTK potential out of nowhere. Um, you cloud while you have another Avalanche in play. You give all your guys haste, and then you choose another mode. But be careful because um, if all your targets are no longer valid, then your forwards won't gain haste. So actually, probably 80% of the time, I just choose haste on this mode. I don't choose Avalanche in my break zone and put it in play unless it's free, unless I can't remove. I don't do 10k to something unless it's free. Like basically if they have one or zero cards in hand. Because if they misdragon you, when you go haste, bring back a guy, you don't gain haste. The target's not valid anymore. So you just played a cloud and it did nothing. Um, but if you choose just haste and only haste, then no matter what happens, you're going to gain haste because there was no targets. It's going to resolve. So something else with Cloud is it's one of those fancy cards that it checks on the condition on ETB but not on resolution. So it says if you have an Avalanche forward, choose up to the modes, right? If I have exactly one other Avalanche forward and I play Cloud, Cloud triggers, I choose modes, and then you kill my Avalanche forward, I still get to resolve Cloud and it works properly. There's a couple other cards like that. 5 CP Physalis. It's one of those cards. This is an old card. This card Physalis does this too. When it enters the field, if you have three or less cards in hand, select the options. If they have no, select two. If they drew a card in response to this trigger, you still get the mode that you chose or modes that you choose. A more recent one is 4 CP Lena. Like if you play Lena and you choose two modes because you have a Ferris in play, and then they remove your Ferris, you still get the two modes. So what matters is if the target no longer is a valid target. If they get rid of it, then you fizzle the entire effect because this is one effect, and that matters when you're playing a deck like this because you don't want to be greedy unless you have to be greedy or unless it's free. So a lot of times I pick just haste. It just depends. But yeah, this deck is super fun. And the reason we added, we originally didn't have Precious, but the reason, and Kuja's good too. But what I was getting at is in the mirror, the Earth mirror, sometimes they can push and make her indestructible, and this deck could not get through that. You can play eight, nine forwards. There's no Neo X Death, so like you couldn't push through an indestructible push. But so we added our own Ice Earth push to Dull Freeze it, or Kuja to Dole it. So yeah. Also, if you're just playing mid range against Earth, which is kind of cool, or other decks, having a Tifa in play when you attack with your 9Ks, they become 10K, so they're bigger. So that's pretty convenient. Also, with all the fire decks starting to play Lebro, that's a little bit relevant too. Interesting stuff. So now I will go back to what I played today, or today, this weekend. Should have played Mono Wind. I said this because I had the most fun I've had in a while playing Final Fantasy, playing that Wind deck the week before, even though it was built wrong and even though I messed up and all that, because um it felt like I lost because of my mistakes, and the deck was there again. And yes, you can lose to aggro, but you don't always lose to aggro, and I'll get onto that in a second. So the changes I made, and this was last second. This was on the Friday. Was I added Moody, Amma, and Bahamut, and that's all because of Dory. Dory was playing against me and Sam, playing this deck, and played Mono Wind the entire time. And between me and Sam both playing this deck, I think we won one time out of like 8 games, maybe 7, something like that. And I think that's kind of crazy because I feel like Wall 7 should beat Mono Wind the majority of the time. But since he knew that we didn't have Amma, his roses stuck and he took advantage of that. And I know not many players are going to play Mono Wind, but that was kind of eye opening to me. Of I didn't play Amma at Raleigh, so people are going to expect me to not play Amma again. Um, so they're going to take advantage of that. So I need to at least play one. I didn't necessarily need to play Moody and Bahamut, whatever, but I needed to at least, going into day 2, assuming I got there, if there's an Amma in my deck list, then they would respect it. It didn't have to be 2 or 3, but it needed to be there. So also losing that many times to win when I feel like it's a favorable matchup, it wasn't a really good feeling. So we played some decks against Sid Randall as well, and that's actually kind of the reason why we added Bahamut and Prish. Um, Me and Lopez were on the exact same deck for the Materia Cup this weekend. Fortunately, he went 0-2, but I guess it works out because I ended up winning. So I guess we did something right. But we wanted some Sid Randall outs because we felt like the Ice Wind decks were going to add more Sid Randalls, and also Prish is exactly medium, but it checks all the boxes. Like it's a 9K. I love 9Ks because of Genova and Tech 5. It's a removal sometimes, but it's not zero outs. It's a removal of Sid Randall. It disrupts their backups when you need to. Sometimes the forwards matter too, but it's also an Earth card for our newly added Mott and Noctis. Um, so it checked literally like tons of boxes. So it's like it's worth the one spot. Is also a different name. We were going to play one Vincent for a very long time, and then it's a 7K, can't attack through anything. It only does one thing. Vincent is only messing with backups, and we wanted something that did multiple things. And I think I think the one of Prish belongs. Well, if you're playing Nimbus, I know some people don't play Nimbus, but if you're playing Nimbus, I think you should play Prish as well. Um, and for some of the reasons that I like Prish, I went up to 2 Nimbus because the 9K, it interacts with their backups. It interacts with anything. It's one of the best things to flip into with Wall 7. Um, and if we're comparing Zeromus to Nimbus for a second, my hot take is Nimbus is better. Like it just is. It's a 9K. It's a very big deal, and it interacts with anything that you need to. Um, so that's where I'm at. Also in this deck, Earth does matter. Uh, I'm holding the best for last year with Crystalina, but Earth matters to me. Deck. Um, I think the worst card in this iteration is Onion Knight, and it's still making the cut because it's water. I have 16 water. That's my magical number. So if I cut Onion Knight, it needs to be for another water card, and I don't know what that is yet. Um, but if you can find something better, that's great. Um, Adding Diana means that you can Seraph FL for a lightning card still, so you can Seraph FL for Diana 7 or whatever if you need to cloud early. But then you can't Aria for it. Um, so I don't know. There's a chance this just belongs because of colors, because of job. It's not terrible. It still kills LBs, but it is probably the worst card. Second worst card is probably Yuzuki, but I think it belongs for the same reason. The fire water matters. There are some matchups where this ability damage is relevant, like Warriors. They really don't want to neutral in this card like ever, but sometimes they have to. Uh, and then sometimes like mirror matches in some situations, like Cyan can't kill Yuzuki. You know, they have to go through some hoops to kill Yuzuki in the mirror match. So um Diana was a good ad. This was Lopez's idea. Um this I'm pretty sure it was his idea. It wasn't mine. Hand emoji. I played this the last time I played Wall 7 at Cash 2 years ago, but that was a totally different deck. That was I didn't play fire cards. I water lightning ice. But I know the power of this card. The card's insane. But being able to res it with Lina was kind of the kicker for me. Um, this is just a Kuja. Like this is literally just a Kuja if you think about it. And I'm not playing Kuja right now, so adding Kuja to my deck was sick. Also, like arguably sometimes searchable Kuja, but also twice in the tournament I threatened to like dole something and then activate Seraphel and dole something. There's actually a time I was like I could dole activate, play Mott, give it brave, attack, dole again. Like I that's yeah. There are some nutty things you can do with Diana. I would only ever play one though. I would never play more. At least not in this build. I went to one Cyan and basically based off of the Raleigh results and Hide's results and just thoughts is like Ward wasn't great because you didn't want to flip into it and there wasn't very much to remove. But even if there was, it still wasn't like what I wanted to do. So I was trying to uh base everything on if I flip into this, like where how am I gonna feel? So like right, that's also why Onion Knight's bad because early game flip into Onion Knight's not good at all. Um, so like how many of these forwards would I not want to flip into on turn two? And it's not very many anymore compared to Raleigh. Like I don't want to hit Yuzuki. It's exactly fine sometimes. It depends on the matchup. Don't want to hit Lina. Don't want to hit Onion Knight. Don't want to hit Cyan. That's about it. Um, every other forward, I'm like, I don't want under Princess, but it's acceptable. Um, Everything else is pretty good. Um, so whereas with the Raleigh list, I had like probably 3 more forwards that I didn't want to hit. So I really wanted to minimize on that. That's only why I had one Cyan. Still worth the spot. Some people like 2, some people like 3. I like all those numbers, but you have to take into account you don't want him early game. Um, so let me 16 water, 17 ice, 21 fire. Okay. And then 33 3 costs. So this is not real. You got to be careful with this. 33, that includes Amma. So it's actually 32 hits off of Wall 7. Um, so yeah, I hit all my numbers on this. Okay, a couple of the big questions that people had. Um, why am I playing Arya over Larsa or Naji? Naji almost made the deck at one point, and it's still an acceptable backup. Being able to get Tybus and Axstar and Furion, that's big. Even sometimes Mog, depending on situations. Uh, but where I'm at, and it's an EX burst, where I'm at is all those cards are fine. You can play whichever one you like. But literally because of Crystal Lina, I chose Arya. Um, and also, so in the early build of this, I didn't say this before. Like Hide was playing Bartz. I was trying out Bartz. We kind of agreed that you needed Bartz and Young Rahul together to make Bartz work. And I'm not a fan of Young Rahul. It just felt like medium and it doesn't pump all my guys. Sometimes it's kind of sweet, but it didn't feel like it was pulling enough weight. So I didn't like Young Hall, so I ended up cutting Bart's. Was Bart's good? Yeah, it was good. It's just I wanted to also I didn't want to play bad cards in my deck to enable good cards, you know. So I wanted to make sure that I was making my deck as powerful as it could be, and not an up and down effect kind of a thing. So and then the more games I played, I feel like Lena is just better than Bart's, and it's cheaper. Yeah, I guess Bart's when you use 3 crystals is 0, whatever. Well, Bart's doesn't always win you the game. Lena, I would say like 2/3 of the time will win you the game. So, more than half of the time, it like whether even if it's just resing a Furion for an extra haster, like would you pay 3 mana and a crystal? The crystal isn't crystal is kind of free in this deck. Just throwing that out there. It's very very narrow on like how many times you can do it, but as long as you are prepared for that kind of stuff, then you can play around it. Definitely a skill in this deck though, because I think this deck's way harder than your average Wall 7 deck. Anyways, would you pay 3 for a 7K and a Furion? The answer is yes. The answer is obviously yes, especially when the Furion's drawing you a card, right? Okay. Uh, this happened. Would you pay 3 for and 2 crystals for like an Undead Princess and a Furion? Yeah, you probably would, right? And you only need 2 crystals because you can stack this in a way where because 2 ETBs go on the stack. And it's not the targets. It's do you want to pay a crystal? Yes or no. And if you do, then it's a continued auto ability. So you you have both abilities on the stack. You pay 2. If you go to 0 crystals and you res Undead Princess, you go back to 1. And then you go back to this. Do you want to pay 1? Yes or no? Okay, yes. Go back to 0. Res Furion. That's really good value. And then you can draw a card. So they discard a card and you draw a card. You paid 3 and 2 crystals for 3 forwards that draw a card and they discard. Like that's really good value. Okay. And as you can tell, like that's like the minimum that this deck can do. There's definitely times where it's like, oh, I'm going to Lina, Res, Axstar, Axstar put into play anything. I mean, the nuts is obviously Gilgamesh, and then when the Dull Freeze resolves, I'll resolve Lina, pay the 1 crystal for Furion. So my Lina turned into 4 forwards. I definitely did that to somebody, and then played Refia to Res Undead Princess. So I played 6 forwards, and it wasn't even Wall 7 related. Like that's the power of Lina, and that doesn't cost that many cards in your hand either. Um, you can definitely accumulate card advantage and chill on them and make your opponent answer your board, and then hit them with that. So that is kind of where I'm at with. I'd rather have answers, or sorry, I'd rather have threats than answers. But Arya, it is more likely for me to cast Arya late game and then get Lina and cast Lina than it is for me to play Larsa or Naji and then cast something that costs 5 or higher, right? Um, that is why I play Arya. I would also say that, a lot of people say plan A is Wool 7, plan B is Tyvis, right? And then in this case, they say plan C is Lena. No, I actually think Tyvis is the worst of these three, but Tyvis still belongs. Um, and honestly, Tyvis belongs because of Axstar, because Axstar is just too good. Um, it's just multiple copies of Axstar. um, and then against Earth, I guess it's Tyrion or Mog, and then Axstar late game. But whatever. Uh, a lot of times you don't even want to go turn one backup, turn two Wool 7. It depends on the matchup, and it also depends on your hand. Um, I played 12 backups this tournament. I'm usually a like 13 to 14 backup gamer, but I wanted to play other cards to keep it short. Um, and I still checked all the boxes. I just needed to be cognizant of if I'm drawing my backups, I have to play them. And there are, like I said, there are some matchups where you don't play them. Um, it also depends on how your opponent plays. So something that was interesting that happened against Sam in top 16. I played Sam and he went first, played a backup. I went second, so I turned one backup. I think it was Arya. I don't think it was Sarah. Either way, I played a backup, and then turn two, he goes backup, backup. But when he does it, he discards a leather worker. So he had three backups and passed. He had three backups in play and three in hand, and he discarded a leather worker. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, if he's discarding a leather worker, that's one of the best cards in his deck. So his last three cards have to be like the nuts, right? They have to be the best cards in his deck. And I'm like, okay, I wonder if one of them Shantoto, he has three backups, right? Um, or I wonder, is it Miss Dragon? Is it Emmett? Because you could next turn Emmett for Aparuru, play Aparuru, get back Leatherworker, go to 5, right? Like that's kind of good. Um, like there's a lot of interesting thoughts on what his hand is, and I actually called two of the three. I was talking out loud at that point. Um, I don't feel like I normally do that unless like it doesn't matter. But I was definitely, it was an intriguing part of the game because I'm like, okay, he probably wants me to slam this Wool 7. And if I do not hit very well, then I'm probably gonna lose. Uh, so I didn't play the Wool 7. I played two backups, and that I took that as a tempo swing of because Sam wasn't threatening Leo Warrior Light next turn. I felt like I had an extra turn to play my backups, and also the worst case scenario, right? Playing Wall 7 and the Shantoto happens, that's really bad. So I went to three backups as well. And then after that, everything's smooth. I can play Wall 7 off three backups, be board wipes, it's not a big deal, and just go from there. That's a scenario. It's just like, okay, I don't know how to really explain when you should or shouldn't play your backups, but it's very precise and it's not easy to decide. Um, Also, the backup, I went to two crystals off it. That's another reason. Like, the crystals matter because late game Lena is another out, things like that. So okay. Mott was good, but it could be red 13 as well. Mott's better with Diana, but also like I don't have that many earth cards. I have 6. So um it's very likely I'm either playing 0 or 1 of my earth LBs. So red is probably better instead just because of the pump. And that's the reason I wanted the pump because of if you have Gilgamesh as an 8K, they can Ama and kill it, right? But if it's a 9K or a 10K, then Ama, okay, they stop one dual freeze, but you're still a first striking 10K or whatever, right? Or 9K. And that matters against Earth. Earth's defenses are usually like 3 9Ks are good against Gilgamesh. Well, not when your Gilgamesh is above an 8K, you know? So that is the main reason why I added Mott, but red would also work just as well. Does Moody, Amma, Bahamut belong? I think from this point on, yes. But I could also see you making this Bahamut a second Amma. I wouldn't do that because I don't think I want two Ammas, but I do think Sid Randall is going to keep going up in popularity, so I think I would keep the Bahamut. And the worst LB in this deck was for me was Zach. Almost nobody, none of my opponents played a Leo that I needed a Zach or get out of the way or nothing. And oh, I'm not playing Victoria for the same reason as I'm not playing Ward. There wasn't anything to remove, so I every time I played Victoria, I had to play it with Zach to get rid of something, and I didn't like that, so I just cut Victoria. Noctis is very, very, very good. For a lot of the same reasons that Lena is good. Yes, you're not going to always play Noctis, but you know if your Wool 7's gone and you have these dead warrior lights, turn them into something. Turn them into literally anything in your discard pile. Um, so that's what that's there for. Uh, and you know theoretically, all your Earth cards you can't cast them, so turn them into something you can cast if you don't need them for like Axstar or wall specials or whatever. Um, Lena is so good that like a lot of times you can knock just the Lena, play the Lena, and just win the game. Like this card's still worth paying like 7 CP, 9 CP for. Like it wins you the game, of course. Like it's very good. Even if it doesn't win you the game, like just the tempo swing. Like, oh, I'm gonna knock this back Lena, play Lena, get Firion, get anything else, whatever. But like you're gonna gain cards from the Firion. You're probably gonna dual freeze their board. You're gonna have 4 forwards now. Kind of sweet. So Noctis was a good discovery by Hide, and I'm very happy about that. Um, I also have played with 2 Refias here before, 2 with 3 Undead Princess. It also works, but I currently like this iteration where I'm at right now. So um, I'm usually a one of Alphino guy, but with Lena resing Alphino and triggering it, I like to. Yeah. So Onion Knight's still the worst card, but I would want a water card. I don't know what that is, but I would definitely run this deck back um if I didn't win, I guess. um but I would definitely say you need to put the reps in for this deck. This deck is a lot. We're at an hour right now. I did want to go through some stuff. Um Sequencing matters. This is from Raleigh, and I thought for a long time against Ryan here and did some like comical misplay here. I'm just gonna run it for just a second. I felt like I was already losing, so I don't think this ended up mattering. But this is the one mistake cost me a lot here. Cast Fairyhand and then I cast Axstar. Why would I do that? Well, that's because I sequencing matters and I even did slow here. I just didn't think about it. And we realized it after I played the Axstar. I'm like, oh, that was stupid. um, and it is what it is, right? You have to play through it. Um, and then I think he heck fives me after this. But either way, um, sequencing matters. That cost me an attack. That cost me a draw. Um, I think that's if I had to say one thing about my deck is sequencing matters. You have to have a game plan. You have to know what you're doing. You It may not always work out, but you have to have a game plan. Um, and if that game plan doesn't work out, then try a new game plan out the next time you play that matchup, you know, until you find something that you like. Because it's all about adapting. This is not your typical face roll Wool 7 deck. I actually feel like when I do that, I am either dramatically ahead or dramatically behind. I don't want to leave my, chances up to fate unless I have to. So, uh, and I'm gonna try and go through this quick. So this is a typical hand of all seven. You just obviously are Sarah FFLing here. It's even better because I drew another one. And this is always actually kind of hard too. This is how I'm thinking about this because of the Earth card for late game, but also if I have a bad wall flip and I hit Axstar, putting in play the Nimbus is pretty good. So because I don't know what my opponent's playing right now. Like I ended up discarding the Gilgamesh. That's how much I value the Earth card. Like in the dark. That's kind of crazy, right? Because imagine same thing scenario. You Axstar in Gilgamesh, but I discarded Nimbus. That's still three colors. It's still a haster, right? But in the dark, the Earth card, I value the Earth card tremendously. So, and I find out he's on ice, so the color wouldn't have even mattered. Um, with this Edward here, zoom through a little bit here. Now wall 7 here, the samurai, and I'm pretty sure Gilgamesh just for an attacker because this is a pretty mediocre flip. I think the only search he's gonna do here is like Emina, so I don't think Mog's that great. I also I don't want to sack my forward. I want to keep doing things that push me forward. So if I had a Firion in my break zone there, I would have got Lena and res the Firion, by the way, because that's just the same thing as this but better. Um, I would I can't dull freeze with this Gilgamesh right now. It's just an attacker. And actually, alarm bells go off when this damage happens. I feel like the only um, decks that play this Terra are um, Une decks. So I'm sitting here like, oh, if there's Une in this deck, there's probably Shinryu in this deck. So I'm playing around Shinryu this entire match. So these are the things you have to think about when you play with Wall 7. And if I play more than three forwards, then I'm okay with getting Shinryu'd. That's what I was thinking about. And there's the Emina I was talking about. If I did get Mog, would I have cracked it? Probably not. Like so, then if I'm not cracking it, then why do I care? If I do crack it, then I have one forward and it's just a whole 7. Like that is that really the game plan? I don't like that game plan. So I only wanted to Mog when I had to. So I'll go to three backups. It's very common that I go to three backups in this deck. Then I Tyvis. Yeah, I tapped Scholar, or tapped Sarah for Scholar, and then I'm playing Tyvis for the triple wall. Porphyrion, attack 3 times, draw a card. And now I'm like, okay, there's got to be like a Shinryu now or never, right? And it's never. And then we just do some attrition stuff here. Um, I'm probably just going to skip to the next. But Lena ends up winning this. So Lena for Gilgamesh, he ends up killing it, but like it's still he killed the Gilgamesh, but like I still have all his value. Lena's just a free forward. It's just chilling there. Oh, another question is some people ask me, is Ferris worth it in this deck? Especially now because I am relying on Lena. And as long as 7Ks, it's the Victoria Ward argument again. If there's not enough 7Ks to kill, then no, I don't want Ferris because it does 7K. So if you have all three warrior lights, then it does 10, sure. But like I currently don't want that. So if you play it, by all means, feel free. But that's 7Ks right now. I think are almost non-existent. So, and I'll go through this real quick. So if try and see my opening hand here. Scholar, Warrior Light, Tyvis, Diana. Gilgamesh. Yeah, it's a bad hand. Because I would Scholar and then what, Tyvus? Yeah, whatever. I don't want that against a Warrior Light deck, so and then if I remember right, I'm mulligan into cards I want and can't cast. Yeah. So I need a water card for the Seraphil. Goes back to that deck building, right? 16 water cards. Um and I do draw the water card. But just remember like you need a mulligan for a hand just like this. Going second, by the way, I would probably keep this. There are times that for a couple reasons. The water card, but also Tyvus. I did this at Raleigh actually a couple times. Like this will happen. This is how much I value the water card. Um, Going second, you can turn on Tyvus for like Yuzuki or Mog or whatever, and then discard it for Seraphil. And then still on turn two, play Wall 7. You can do that. Does it suck? Yeah, it does suck, but it is a playable play. And maybe that Wall 7 hits an Alphino, and then you can go search for a Warrior, and then you can play it off of Tyvus. So there's a lot that can go on. You just got to think about what your game plan is. So give it a thumbs up. So I drew the other Seraphil. That's like probably the best draw because I don't want any more. And okay, this is maybe a pseudo secret with Wall 7 stuff, but not always the case with against Bart's and Raffia and stuff. But you want to always search for double light wall. And hopefully not draw the third. You're expecting to get board wiped, but you're putting the pressure on them to board wipe. The game plan is to make them board wipe you and then play a Wall 7 again. So play Wall 7, gain some advantage, they board wipe you, you play Wall 7 again, and then they have to board wipe you again. If they do, then that's where stuff like Tyvus and Lina come into play. Because again, you have all the attrition. You're going to grind them out. If they don't board wipe you, then they have to do something that's better than you, and that's really hard to do. Um, and then one of the worst case scenarios is Ama, and actually I discard wrong here. I discard the Tyvus eventually. Yeah, plays Wall 7, and Tyvus was if this gets Ama'd, then I'm supposed to rely on Tyvus. So this is a mistake from me. Um, but again, I'm holding a Nimbus because it's valuable, right? So you can see where my mindset is, but I definitely should have kept the Tyvus. But again, had you Ama hindsight, I would have cast the Tyvus, but I use the Sama later. And being Refia, you have that board wipe um, effects in play, but also Ama, but also you don't want to get them to damage 3. So you kind of have to play around a bunch of things. And I most of the time want to go put them to 2 damage and then all the way to 7 with this matchup. But you don't always have that luxury. But and also the exception to that is if you have Ama or a wall special. And I do have that. I could have saved my Leo. It wasn't worth it because I'm not attacking twice anyways. Like, could I have Surgist? Yeah, but I'm not attacking twice. So who cares? I saw some people give me flack for using a Final Fantasy crystal. It's a crystal, man. It's not a big deal. If my opponent cared, I would have swapped. If the judges cared, I would have swapped. It's really not a big deal. So yeah, at this point, I'm thinking I'm not attacking anymore unless I have to. And the way that I have to is if Sydney gets the 4 backups and can play a Warrior of Light. And Sydney gets the 4 backups. So I need to do something to freeze Sydney's backup. And I already played a Wall 7, so I have to play this Gilgamesh and attack. So this is where things start getting a little teetery. And actually, so this is a scenario too. I have enough ice cards to do this, but I drew the ice backup. I'm gonna go to 3 backups here, and then I'm gonna play Gilgamesh. So, and I'm just checking. But yeah, I'm going to do this because now my backups are set for the rest of the game. I have the extra crystal, so Lena's good late game. So I'm pressuring from all angles. But I'm hesitating, but I have to attack because I can't let a warrior light to play because I don't think like it's so much worse if a warrior light comes into play and then I hit the best possible. So this is a Light Bart's flip 5. And so from this point on, I'm basically only thinking. So I attacked twice, by the way, because there's no reason not to. But I'm only thinking of okay, a Mist Dragon is maybe neutral of a play. A Arc Ferris is where I would lose, but I believe 2 Arcs and 2 Ferrises are gone. So I think that was this game. So that's not likely to happen. Do this a little bit. So there's the Ferris. And actually, I was told that I needed a wall special for no reason here. Because I'm ammaing the search trigger. So then, yeah, it would be 3K and then 1K. Yeah, I had no reason to this for special. Yeah, I just threw it away. That was really bad. That was very bad. Like that I had zero. Like I win the game if I don't do that, right? Fire, ice. Oh no, I'm missing a 4 color wall. That was really bad. I had no reason to do that. So yeah, me throwing away that wall special may have cost me, but I do end up winning this game. I play Undead Princess, make him discard the last card, and that big. So now I'm again I have to attack because I don't want a wall special to happen or wall special a warrior light to happen. So I have to freeze a backup, and I would feel so much better if I had a wall special here because even if Sydney drew the nuts, then I have a wall special and I can win the next turn most likely. Because what can Sydney do if I just protect all my forwards, play a bunch of things, and then pass? Well, none of those are Refia. So that me discarding a wall for no reason was really bad, really, really, really bad. But I got bailed out. I think Sydney just passes, not just Cyan, if I remember right. Go to 5 crystals, attack, they'll freeze some a fire because I want to know if there's an Ama. And if the Dull Freeze happens, then there's no Mist Dragon. And then but there was a Mist Dragon. So I am specialing here. Um, why was I specialing? Oh, I special because if there was like anything that Sydney could draw to cast or burst into, then I didn't want it to be like a possible me reacting. So the burst obviously I need to protect from the burst, but I think I was just playing. I was kind of loose. I'm not gonna lie. And then same thing. You'll see Seraphim for double warrior light. Oh, let me see my hand here. I think I just didn't have the water and I drew it right again. Did I do it twice? Let me. Yeah, I didn't have it. Did I mulligan? Because this is a hand I would keep. No, I did not. So I keep this hand. Obviously, water card is the best draw, but I have all three backups. So if I draw a fire card, then that's two redraws even. So and then I do the best possible, which is Seraphil. But you see my line of thinking of why I kept that hand, right? I have some redraws. I value the backups pretty highly, especially in this matchup. I'm not going to be aggressive unless Sydney makes me be aggressive. So and then the Thornton turn makes me feel like Sydney's going to be slow. So if I recall, I could be wrong, but I'm debating here if I'm wall sevening or if I'm playing backups. I wonder if I'm going to play wall seven. I think I'm supposed to play backups. I'm so happy. Oh yeah. This was sick. I'm so happy. Okay, so I play backups because I can play both. Because I again, so that Earth scenario that I gave earlier about when Sam Tool stayed at three backups instead of going to four, right? That said to me, I have time to set up. I don't have to be aggressive, and I got rewarded here. So I just play my ice backup here, play the scholar, and I'm like, okay, no matter what I draw, I can, as long as it's not the third light wall, I can play samurai, right? Actually, I can still play it even if I draw a light wall because I have Sarah and four color wall. And then instead of samurai now, I draw the moody. I'm definitely moodying for Amma here. Like that was the out. Now it did cross my mind. Do I play the samurai and then next turn play the moody? That is greedy and don't do that. I don't have two turns. I have one turn free here. Now I would do samurai and then next turn moody if I was playing a deck like Chark, playing against a deck like Chark, because well, I guess not with his hand, but in general, you don't want to play non threes until you have like wall seven and a bunch of wall specials against Chark. So I think that's the only exception. Like Mono Earth, I think I would make the same play as this one. Um, but basically, if you don't want to play forwards, then you play your backups. But I got paid off by going for this play. And then Sydney Sarah fulfills, and it's just another slow turn with a bunch of cards. And now I'm Sarah filling for value. I think I barely hit. Yep, Diana. Saving the day. And then this is another setup for turn for Sydney, and there's the five backups. So now, again, I need to interact with backups. And if I can't do that, which I have Gilgamesh, but if I couldn't do that, then that's where Amma comes into play. So you got to have a game plan for like you have a game plan and a backup plan. And actually, this is where I do 7 damage. I actually almost misplay. Um, so I end up having 7 attackers here. You'll see OTK in the chat, stuff like that. I pick up Gilgamesh and I'm like, attack. Wait, no, attack here because you can still hit Kuchulin. So I'll attack with Firion. Draw a card because everything's protected now. So now Sydney's only out that I know of. Oh yeah, we were playing around here. I was like, I didn't see that Sydney damaged the Warrior of Light. So I'm like, wait, what? What is that? What is that? And then Sydney's like, oh, it's a Warrior Light. I just wanted to swap Warrior Lights. because it was the signed one. So but I didn't. I was like, it's not a burst. It's not relevant. Because what I'm thinking of is if Sydney bursts a Thornton and Misdragons me, Sydney lives. That's the worst possible that can happen. That doesn't happen, but I was like freaking out here for a second. I was like, no, 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 put it back, whatever. But then I'm like, okay, whatever, who cares? Yeah. And I end up winning this one. The Kuchulin hits the very end, but that doesn't matter. I have exactly 7 attackers. After all my Gilgamesh attacks go in, I'm pretty sure there's 0 outs. So that's the game. So yeah. Um I ended up going undefeated. Um Let me pull up my tournament real quick. This was my bracket for the weekend. So I did drop a game to Sam in top 16, and then I dropped a game Modifier top 8. Actually, the game I lost here, I had lethal still, and it was actually kind of crazy. So game one, he didn't draw an Ama at all. In game two, he went like 30 cards deep and saw one Ama. That's it. Like it was not it was not normal. It was some crazy stuff. And when he did have the Ama, but if he didn't, still I won that game. Like I was like, there's no way you still don't have it, right? There's no way. And then I make my game winning play and he had it. I'm like, okay, yeah, of course. Like, like you got to have some, realism here. Like, they can't have no Amos in 2 games and like that deep. There's no way. But so I did drop some games, but ended up winning. Um, I think some hot take stuff here. Um, I'm gonna go over 2 more decks and that'll probably be it. But I think that D's Chaos Arc deck may have been built a little bit wrong. I would not play exactly one Thornton. I think you had to play 3. Because and you could tell this in our game. So I won because he didn't have Chaos. He had Arc, but both games I damaged one of the Chaoses. And that's the Tyro ban right there. Like there's no searching for chaos or une or whatever, um, because Tyro's banned. Well, I think you have to play 3 Thornton for that, and you're not always Thorntoning for chaos, but you you don't even always cast the Thornton, but you always have to have access to it for Lunafreya or imagine a scenario. It's okay to pay 5 if you're gonna go get a 0 CP card out of your deck, right? So especially against Wall 7. Uh, and I would personally be building this with 3 Thorntons. I don't know what I would change, but I will say that the games I saw D play, he got to his 3 element backups pretty frequently. So that was pretty nice to see consistency there. But I think I would have lost if there was 3 Thorntons in this deck. And then second thing I would say is it is the Golbez deck I played. Oops. Golbez one Golbez soldiers. Um, I think I may have lost that game too, if as well if he didn't draw his light Una. I think I have his deck list here. Yeah, he posted it in global. So he plans to go second, and then play Golbez and Lunafreya, and then burst, you know, an Odin, a Ramu, or Famfrit. Better if it's a Ramu or an Odin. The kill is on Golbez, and then he Golbez's into play the three soldiers, Mott, Matt, Roche, and Lucia, and then also Yuna. So that's five forwards, Lunafreya, those four, and then he can mix after that. But also, so that's six forwards. Uh, but he can attack if he wants. He can dual freeze three things. He can do whatever with Yuna, right? Yuna things. But he can also draw a card. And I think that's huge. Um, like he can draw a card and then dual freeze their turn one backup. So they go and then like untap three forwards. So like he has four forwards left. Um, I think that's really strong. Or he can like dual freeze with the soldiers, attack with Roche, put him to one, and then untap his three soldiers. So he has six still for triple tax, and that's six attackers. So he can win on turn two. So I think that's actually kind of interesting and really cool. Um, that didn't happen against me because he drew his Yuna, but yeah, it's a really cool deck. This is probably the coolest deck I saw in the tournament, and I just wanted to highlight it. It's really nice, really sweet. So yeah, that does it. Ray got the pass down for the Nationals invite. Um, yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about. Um, I don't think I'm going to be going to PA. I don't know when my next event's going to be. I'm going to try and go to Chicago at the end of the year and try to go to Texas, but I'm just uncertain at the moment now because I got my invite, so I'm not sure what my plans are at this time. But yeah, it's I know it's a long video, but I do appreciate everyone who reached out to me when I won the finals, everyone who was cheering me on during the whole tournament, um, everyone who's helped me get to where I am today. Um, it it truly does mean a lot, and I love this game. I love the friends. I love the community that to be a part of it. It means a lot, and another year at Worlds that's a big deal. Um, I I'm giving it my all. I I have one more goal in mind. I don't know if I'm gonna ever reach it, but this is another chance. So um, I may have something special coming up pretty soon that I'm probably gonna announce, but I don't want to say anything yet in case it doesn't happen. But there might be something special coming up, and also good luck to all the people playing in local qualifiers this upcoming weekend. I definitely think the meta is gonna shape up pretty nicely. I don't think there's one deck that's overpowered. I do think that Elsart got way better now because I think Wall 7 is the most represented deck in my opinion this weekend, and then probably a tie between Icewind Crystals and Mono Fire. So I think the meta is going to turn into something like Wall 7, Chaos Arc, and then some crystal decks, and then a lot of monocolor decks. But I guess let me look through here real quick. That's kind of what it's. That's basically what I mean. There's a lightning water deck here. It's a little different, but that's basically what this tournament. Gold Wings is different too. Um, but yeah, I think this is gonna be a great format. Uh, look forward to seeing more results and more tournaments and more people. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions about the deck or anything you want to talk about, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or on Facebook or even on Discord. I'm in global Discord as well. So thank you for watching, and until next time.